So, you think you're ready for Japan? You've probably seen the endless TikToks and YouTube shorts telling you don't eat and walk, or buy an IC card. But let's be honest, most of those videos just scratch the surface. The real game changers for your trip to Japan in 2025? They're hidden in the details most travelers miss. Here's the thing. Japan is polite, yes. Safe? Definitely. But beneath the surface lies a beautifully intricate culture, and understanding just a little bit more can make your trip smoother, more respectful, and 10 times more enjoyable. If this is your first time to Japan, or even your second or third, stick around. Because what you're about to hear are not your average travel tips. These are the insights a local guide or a longtime resident would share with a close friend. Let's dive into what really helps on a trip to Japan in 2025. Section 1. Tech and transportation tips that actually matter. 1. IC card smart hacks in 2025. First up, let's talk about Japan's famous IC cards like Suica, Pasmo, and Ikoka. In 2025, these cards have evolved beyond just train gates. You can use them for buses, vending machines, konbini, convenience stores, and even lockers. But here's a handy detail that many miss. You don't need to unlock your phone or even have battery left to use it. As long as your IC card or digital wallet was charged beforehand, the NFC chip will still work for a few hours, even if your phone dies. That means less fumbling at gates and more confidence getting around. And if you're wondering which to get, know this. They're mostly interchangeable in major cities, but some regional cards like Sapaka in Hokkaido won't work in Tokyo. When in doubt, go digital. Suica and Pasmo are now available for download directly into Apple Wallet or Google Pay, making life that much easier. 2. Transport efficiency. Local overlooked routes. The size of Japan can be intimidating at first, but here's a secret. Travel between cities is incredibly efficient. For example, hopping from Kyoto to Osaka takes just over 30 minutes by train. And many small towns on the map, like Nara or Kamakura, are perfect for half-day or full-day trips. Yet many travelers fall into the trap of overbooking or sticking only to Tokyo and Kyoto. What they miss is that regional passes and non-JR lines, like Hankyu, Keio, or Odakyu, often offer smoother, cheaper, and less crowded options than the well-known Shinkansen. So take the time to study local rail options. They're often quicker and far more scenic than you'd expect. 3. Don't just Google restaurants. Do this instead. You might be tempted to rely solely on Google Maps or popular food apps like Tabalog or Gurunavi. While they're useful, the best dining experiences? They're usually found through human connection. Ask your hotel receptionist, chat with your Airbnb host, or even talk to a barista. Locals often know the hidden gems that don't show up on apps. Places with no English menu, but incredible food, or cozy izakaya, open late that welcome travelers with a smile. And in 2025, voice translation tools like Google Translate or Pocket Talk make these conversations easier than ever. Just a few seconds of effort might lead you to the best bowl of ramen you've ever had. Section 2. Money, budgeting, and avoiding tourist traps. 4. Cash versus card in 2025. The real story. There was a time when Japan was considered a cash-only society. That time has passed. As of 2025, cashless payments are the norm in most urban areas. Credit cards, digital wallets, and QR codes are accepted in department stores, chain restaurants, museums, and even many taxis. But, and this is key, don't ditch yen entirely. You'll still need it for smaller shrines, tiny mom-and-pop eateries, street food stalls, or the irresistible gacha capsule toy machines. A good rule? Carry around 5,000, 10,000 yen, about $35–70 USD, in cash as a backup. And when you do need to withdraw money, 7-Eleven ATMs and Japan Post Bank are your safest bet. They support international cards and have English options. 5. Why taxi isn't always expensive and when to take one. Taxis in Japan have a reputation for being pricey, and compared to trains, they can be. But here's the nuance. Sometimes a taxi is simply the better option. Let's say you're traveling with family, it's pouring rain, or you're in the middle of Kyoto's sweltering summer heat, waiting 20 minutes for a bus. A taxi could cost you just a few hundred yen more and save you time, comfort, and frustration. Even better, the Go Taxi app, Japan's version of Uber, now allows you to order taxis in English, check if they accept cards, and pay in-app. The cherry on top? Most taxis are impeccably clean, drivers are courteous, and there's no awkward tipping, because tipping simply isn't a thing here. Just hop in, say your destination, and enjoy the ride. 6. Don't be fooled by TikTok. What's actually worth paying for? Let's face it, social media is a mixed bag. While some creators share helpful travel tips, many posts are designed to spark controversy or chase views. You've probably seen videos warning about "don't travel to Japan in summer" or "tourists are hated now." But trust the locals. The vast majority of Japanese people are kind, helpful, and welcoming, especially to visitors who show respect. As for spending, remember that experiences hold more value than trends. Instead of waiting an hour for a viral cafe with rainbow toast, why not spend that time doing something culturally enriching? Consider a sake tasting workshop in Niigata, indigo dyeing in Tokushima, or a tea ceremony hosted by a Kyoto family. These are the moments that leave lasting memories, and they're usually far less crowded. Section 3. Culture, etiquette, and blending in respectfully. 7. Dress smart in Japan, not just for fashion, but respect. When it comes to fashion, Japan is incredibly diverse, but it's also subtly conservative in public settings. While you'll see wild street fashion in places like Harajuku or Shibuya, in most other situations, modesty and cleanliness in appearance are quietly appreciated. It's not about judgment, it's about social harmony. For example, wearing leggings without a long top, very low-cut tops, or extremely short shorts might turn a few heads, especially in temples or countryside areas. You won't be confronted. Japanese people are far too polite for that. But you may be silently observed or even uncomfortably photographed, especially in rural areas where foreign tourists are rare. That doesn't mean you have to dress like a monk. Just aim for outfits that would feel appropriate in a family restaurant or formal setting back home. Light, breathable clothing with tasteful layering is your friend. And if you're visiting shrines or temples, try to wear clothes that cover shoulders and knees out of respect. 8. Unspoken social norms tourists miss. One of the most charming, yet easily misunderstood aspects of Japanese society is its quiet adherence to social etiquette, and much of it is unspoken, learned through observation rather than rules. For example, when riding public transport, silence is golden. Talking loudly, even on the phone, is seen as inconsiderate. That's why you'll notice people whispering or texting instead of chatting away. There's also a beautiful order to daily life. Cues are respected, seats are not claimed with elbows, and if you bump someone, a small nod or quiet sumimasen goes a long way. One thing to keep in mind is umbrella etiquette. Yes, even umbrellas have rules. Never shake them indoors, and always place them in designated stands. And if you forget one somewhere, don't be surprised if it's still waiting for you hours later. But, oddly enough, umbrella theft is real, usually because someone grabs the wrong one without noticing. If you want to avoid mix-ups, bring a unique tag or sticker to mark yours. 9. Tattoos in 2025 Japan. How to avoid awkward moments. Let's clear something up. Tattoos in Japan do not carry the same warm acceptance they might in other parts of the world. This hesitation isn't necessarily about hostility. It's more about lingering associations with the yakuza, organized crime, especially among older generations. That said, in 2025, Japan has come a long way. Younger people are more open-minded, and many urban establishments now welcome tattooed foreigners. Still, certain spaces, like traditional onsen, hot springs, sento, public baths, and gyms, may have blanket policies banning visible ink. This isn't about you personally, it's about maintaining a sense of decorum for local guests. But don't worry, there are now dozens of tattoo-friendly onsen across Japan, especially in places like Hakone, Beppu, and Tokyo suburbs. And private baths are available at many ryokan inns. Just check ahead or look for signs that say, "Tattoo okay." And if you're unsure, cover it up with a patch or sleeve. Many bathhouses will appreciate the gesture, even if the rules are flexible. 10. Unspoken biases around appearance and standing out. One thing worth noting, particularly for male travelers, is that personal appearance still plays a big role in how you're perceived in Japan. Unusual hairstyles, facial piercings, or bold fashion choices might raise eyebrows, not in a hostile way, but in a quietly curious or skeptical one. Long hair on men, flashy accessories, or facial tattoos might invite stares in conservative settings or formal environments like upscale hotels or business-focused restaurants. This doesn't mean you need to change who you are. Japan is incredibly safe and tolerant, but understanding how society here often prizes conformity and subtlety can help you move through it with more ease. It's about fitting into the flow rather than fighting it, and the rewards are often warmer interactions and a deeper connection with the local culture. 11. Do as the Japanese do, a phrase to travel by. There's a popular saying here, when in Japan, do as the Japanese do. It isn't meant to pressure you, it's meant to invite you. Small efforts like learning how to bow politely, using soft tones in public, or lining up in orderly fashion at train stations show a deep respect for the host culture. And here's the unexpected truth. By adopting a few of these local customs, your trip becomes easier. People will be more willing to help, more open to conversation, and more forgiving if you make a mistake. It's not about perfection, it's about presence and being the kind of traveler that brings joy, not disruption, to the places you visit. Section 4. Travel logistics and trip planning essentials. 12. Is the JR Pass worth it anymore? A 2025 breakdown. For years, the Japan Rail Pass was hailed as the ultimate money saver for tourists traveling across the country. But times have changed. In 2023, the JR Pass saw a sharp price increase, and by 2025, it's no longer a must-buy for every itinerary. Let's say you're doing the classic route: Tokyo, Hakone, Kyoto, Osaka, back to Tokyo. If you buy individual tickets for each leg, the total might come to around 34,000 yen. But the 7-day JR Pass now costs about 50,000 yen. So unless you're planning to ride the Shinkansen almost daily or go long distances like Tokyo to Hokkaido or Fukuoka, you're better off paying as you go. Also remember, the JR Pass doesn't cover all routes. Many scenic or resort areas, like Hakone, Kawaguchiko, or parts of Nara, use private railways, which are not included. And you'll still need to buy local subway tickets in cities like Osaka or Kyoto. For maximum savings and convenience, look into regional passes like the Kansai Wide Area Pass or the Tokyo Wide Pass. They're cheaper, more targeted, and often include local lines and buses. Always compare your planned route using websites like Hyperdiet or Japan Travel by Navytime before committing to any pass. 13. How to master Japan's maze-like train stations. Japan's train stations are architectural wonders, but they can also feel like labyrinths, especially in megastations like Shinjuku, Tokyo, Umeda, Osaka, or Kyoto. You might spend more time navigating escalators than riding trains. That's not an exaggeration. Some stations have multiple layers underground, with dozens of exits, underground malls, and platforms that look identical. Even locals get turned around occasionally. To navigate like a pro, check your platform number in advance using apps like Google Maps, Navytime, or Japan Travel. Pay attention to station exit numbers, not just the name. Exit 1 and exit 18 can be a 10-minute walk apart. If you're traveling with luggage, a stroller, or someone with limited mobility, be sure to check ahead for elevator access. It's not always obvious, and some stations have elevators located in corners you'd never expect. You can also ask a station staff member by saying, "Elevator wa doko desu ka?" They'll get the idea, even if your Japanese isn't perfect. 14. Why you should never skip planning elevator access. In Japan, accessibility is improving, but still far from perfect. Major stations generally have elevators or escalators, but older or rural ones may not. If you're carrying heavy bags, using a stroller, or traveling with elderly family members, this can be the difference between a smooth trip and a stressful one. Many travel apps now include accessibility details. Check before you go. If you're worried, don't hesitate to ask for help at the ticket gates. Station staff are trained to assist and often go out of their way to help travelers navigate platforms, locate elevators, or even escort you directly. Also, consider using luggage forwarding services, a beloved secret in Japan. For a modest fee, you can send your bags from one hotel to another and travel hands-free. It's reliable, fast, and used by locals, not just tourists. 15. Avoid overplanning. Japan is bigger and smaller than you think. Here's a paradox. Japan feels both huge and compact. You might look at a map and think 2 cities are too far apart to visit in one day. But thanks to the Shinkansen and local express lines, you can often get there in under an hour. Tokyo to Yokohama? Just 25 minutes. Kyoto to Osaka? Even faster. On the flip side, don't assume you can see Tokyo in one day. These cities are dense and full of surprises. Trying to squeeze everything into a tight schedule often leads to exhaustion and missed opportunities. Instead, build in breathing space. Let your days have pockets of flexibility where you can wander a back street, pop into a gallery, or sit in a quiet garden for an hour. And don't forget, some of the best travel memories are unplanned. That random coffee shop with jazz music or a local train ride past rice fields at sunset might stick with you longer than any checklist item ever could. Section 5. Eating in Japan without offending anyone. 16. Dietary restrictions. What you need to know before you eat. Japan is a culinary paradise, but for travelers with dietary restrictions, it can present real challenges, especially if you're vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, or follow halal guidelines. That's not because Japan is behind. It's simply a country where food is deeply rooted in tradition, and modifications to dishes are rare. Unlike many Western restaurants, Japanese establishments typically don't customize meals. If something contains fish stock, soy sauce with wheat, or meat-based broth, it's often non-negotiable. So instead of trying to alter a menu, the best approach is to find restaurants that already cater to your needs. In 2025, that's easier than ever, especially in larger cities. Kyoto and Tokyo now have a growing number of vegan, halal, and allergy-conscious cafes. Apps like Happy Cow, Halal Navi, and Google Maps, with updated dietary filters, are your best friends here. Still, in rural areas or traditional eateries, these options can be scarce, so planning ahead is essential. Also, if you're lactose intolerant, be aware. Milk is the default. Most cafes do not offer oat, almond, or soy milk unless they're part of an international chain or an upscale urban spot. It's always okay to ask, but don't be surprised if the answer is a polite no. If you have allergies, especially to things like peanuts or shellfish, consider bringing an allergy card written in Japanese, or use translation apps to explain clearly. Japanese hospitality is extraordinary, and staff will do their best to help, but only if they fully understand the risk. 17. No custom orders. Please, the set meal culture. In Japan, what you see is what you get. Literally, meals are crafted to a delicate balance of taste, presentation, and tradition. So when you order a set meal, or teishoku, It arrives as the chef intended, with rice, soup, pickles, and the main dish arranged in harmony. That's why asking to remove items, no mayo, no sauce, add cheese, is not common here and often not possible. Even a simple request like no egg may be politely declined, not out of stubbornness, but because it disrupts the flow of the kitchen. Instead of seeing this as a limitation, embrace the experience as part of the culture. It's a chance to try new flavors, and you might discover a new favorite. If you need certain exclusions, again, the key is to find places that already meet your needs, not to expect changes once seated. This philosophy is also one of the reasons dining in Japan is affordable. Efficiency reduces overhead, and set menus help kitchens serve quickly, cleanly, and consistently. 18. One order per person rule at cafes and pubs. You finally found that dreamy little cafe tucked down a quiet alley. You and your friend step inside, eager to soak up the cozy vibe. But when one of you orders a drink and the other says, "I'm fine, I'll just sit," you might be met with an awkward pause, or even a quiet refusal. Here's why. In Japan, most cafes and small restaurants have a rule: one order per person. This isn't greed or bad hospitality. It's a matter of fairness and sustainability. These places are often tiny, with limited seating, and rely on steady orders to stay afloat. So when you take a seat, you're expected to contribute. Even something small, a drink, a dessert, an appetizer, is perfectly acceptable. And if you're unsure, just ask the staff gently, "Can we share? Watashi tachi, share dekimasu ka?" They'll usually let you know. Rather than seeing this as a limitation, think of it as a perfect opportunity to try something new. Maybe that matcha parfait or seasonal soda you wouldn't have ordered otherwise. 19. Surprise charges. Understanding cover fees, otoshi, at izakaya. One of the more confusing moments for new visitors is when you're sitting at a lively izakaya, a Japanese-style pub, and you're served a tiny dish you didn't order. Then, later on the bill, you spot a small charge for it. No, it's not a scam. That's called otoshi or sukidashi, a standard cover charge that comes with a welcome appetizer. It's not optional and it's not a mistake. It's simply part of the culture of izakaya, where guests often linger for hours, and the cover helps the business stay viable. You'll usually be charged between 300–500 yen per person, and the dish varies by season or chef's whim. In many cases, it's delicious: seasoned edamame, marinated vegetables, pickled squid. Think of it as Japan's version of a cover charge at a jazz club or tapas bar. You're paying for the seat, the vibe, and a taste of something unique. If this doesn't sound like your style, you can always choose a different type of restaurant. But once you embrace it, you'll likely find that it adds to the charm of a night out in Japan. Section 6. Hidden nuances. Most tourists miss. 20. Where are the trash bins? Why? That's a trick question. If you're walking around Tokyo or Osaka and suddenly realize you have an empty drink bottle or food wrapper in your hand, good luck finding a trash can. They're practically invisible. This often surprises visitors, especially coming from countries where bins are on every corner. But this isn't an oversight. It's by design. After a series of incidents decades ago, including a tragic sarin gas attack in the 1990s, Japan began removing public trash bins for security reasons. But what's truly fascinating is that this didn't create a litter problem. Instead, it reinforced a cultural habit. You take your trash home. In Japanese society, cleanliness is a collective responsibility. When someone buys food at a street vendor, they're expected to finish it there and hand back the packaging. Coffee from a cafe? Enjoy it inside. No trash left behind. As a visitor, it's best to carry a small plastic or reusable bag in your day pack. Use it to hold onto wrappers, receipts, and other bits until you return to your hotel, or find a rare bin near a convenience store or train station. Bonus tip: if you sort your recyclables properly, many hotels have separate bins in the lobby or near vending machines. 21. Yes, Japan is safe, But not crime-free. Japan is, without question, one of the safest countries in the world. Solo travelers, especially women, regularly walk home late at night without worry. Lost wallets are turned in. Phones are returned with chargers. There's an overwhelming sense of mutual respect. But like anywhere, not everything is perfect. The most common petty crimes are the subtle ones, umbrella theft being a top contender. Leave your umbrella in a stand outside a store. It may be gone when you return. Not out of malice, just mistaken identity. So if yours is special, mark it clearly. More seriously, incidents of groping on trains, shikan, have been reported, especially on crowded rush hour routes. In response, many cities now offer women-only train cars during peak hours, clearly marked in pink or with signs at the platform. If something does happen, no matter how small, don't hesitate to alert station staff. They are trained to handle such situations calmly and respectfully. The key takeaway? Japan is safe, but stay aware, just as you would anywhere. 22. Don't be that foreigner. One bad act reflects on all. Here's a truth not many travel influencers talk about. What one tourist does often shapes how locals view all tourists. That's why small acts, like speaking too loudly on trains, taking selfies in sacred areas, or ignoring posted rules, can leave a bigger mark than you think. Not just on your trip, but on the way travelers after you are treated. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be mindful, read the room. If everyone is quiet, match the vibe. If there's a sign asking not to photograph a shrine, put the phone down and appreciate the moment with your eyes. When travelers take the time to blend in, even just a little, they're often met with kindness, curiosity, and deep appreciation from locals. That respectful presence is remembered, and it opens doors to experiences tourists never usually get. Final takeaway: travel lightly, respect deeply, and stay curious. If there's one thing to take from all of this, it's this: Japan rewards the curious and the considerate. It's not about memorizing a rulebook or trying to act Japanese. It's about traveling with humility, with open eyes, and a willingness to understand a society that values harmony, precision, and quiet beauty. So plan your route, yes, but leave space for surprises. Ask questions, taste things you can't pronounce, take the scenic train, sit beside a grandmother in a garden, listen to silence in a shrine. The best parts of Japan aren't always in guidebooks. Sometimes they're found in the moments between destinations. Your 2025 trip to Japan can be unforgettable, not because of how much you see, but because of how deeply you experience it. Loved this guide? Save it, share it with your travel buddies, and don't forget to subscribe for more real Japan travel wisdom, crafted with care, not clickbait. See you in the land of the rising sun.